these are the people who I want to appeal to.
Make those little slips. It happens.
You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively.
How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Just jump right back on.
And welcome back. We're about to break things down with Jenny. It's always nice to have Jenny in. Jenny, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning, Belize.
You are looking so wonderful this morning. My God.
Oh.
Yes, it's a beautiful Friday.
And it's going to be a fun Friday because we're talking about dating.
I don't know how much fun that is for parents of teenagers.
Oh, I know.
So,
I'm going to have to tread very carefully here.
oh, yes. I was
Tread carefully.
saying before we went on the air, John has a headache about this because he has a teenage daughter.
The thought,
Yes.
the thought is there.
So, but Jenny, this is a relevant topic. Whether or not you have teen children, you remember being a teenager.
Yeah.
And for some people, that means you kind of have an idea of the boundaries you want your children to have. And for some people, they're scared of what their kids may be doing as well, reflecting on their own
Well, see, the thing that, you know, ever since we started Break It Down, I've always been talking about you have to start early. You start everything early. You don't want to be talking to your children about dating or not dating when they're getting ready to date.
To date, yes.
At 14 years or,
Yes.
or so. And I hope nobody is allowing their kids to go date at 12 or anything like that. Well, my little nephew said to me, because I was asking him about dating, and I said,
Is this our little singer?
I said, man, I'm so glad I don't have a girl. I said, but I know that you haven't started any of those things yet. I said, and I have some reservations. So look at me and say, well, Andy, I do date.
What?
You do?
Okay. Can I start off with one of the things that I have very strong opinions about in Belize? We don't date in Belize.
We don't.
By definition, we don't date. We don't. If you use, for example, the North American example, where people have an interaction, a meeting with a person, and you decide if you want to do it the second time, the third time. I've never really seen that practice in Belize, and in fact, it's often shunned upon. If you see me having lunch with someone one day and dinner the next day with somebody else,
You have a name for
lots
this.
of opinions of
Yeah.
my dating process.
Yes.
Now I know we can't peg it to where it started, but what's your opinion on this?
Well, I'm hoping that as we're talking to parents and we're talking to people, that it's going to be something that we encourage. That children get to know each other. In fact, start very young. But let's go through the the slides, and I put in some things.
Okay.
Because we've been saying all these things, how to start early, talking to your children, identifying, modeling. We talked about all these things, all of it. So,
Okay, so the
my
first one
teenager
is-
wants to
Teenager
date.
wants to date.
When should we start preparing for this day?
You see what I have up there, right?
What am I going to tell my 6-month-old about dating?
The thing is that we have to start modeling the values, our values.
Yeah.
We start very early.
Yeah.
And we're teaching our children values. You know, that they have that thing in the Bible that says, train a tree in the way it should go, and when it gets old enough, it will not depart away from what you've taught them.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't know how your child is going to react. And so it's very important to start very early. Putting your ideas to the child and making sure that the child is assimilating all this information. Because if it's done daily and it's reinforced and you're modeling the behaviors, and when I say modeling the behaviors of self-respect,
Yeah.
self-esteem, self-love, all these things, we have to be teaching these things to our children. And so little girls are going to be demanding respect, and our little boys are going to be giving respect, being respectful. Right? So, but we as parents, we're responsible for making sure we're teaching these values and start early. Start very, very early. And this is a joke, putting the babies, but I mean, we have to start
We
very
have to start
early.
early. Yes.
Okay?
I always use the example of children who witness dysfunctional relationships and marriages.
I know.
And, you always hear people say, well, we're staying together for the kids, and they hate each other. and
Such a
they
mistake.
show it.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part of it, as you've told us so many times, that is teaching those little girls and those little boys that are in that house that you're staying together for what love is.
Yeah.
So you're really telling them that's the type of relationship you want in the future.
Yeah.
Is that where this comes into play as well?
Right. See, when a girl sees her mother being submissive and she stays in a relationship where she's either being beaten, disrespected,
Or
that little
unhappy.
girl is learning this is what marriage is supposed to be. And the little boys are learning this is how I'm supposed to treat a woman. This is how I treat a woman. This is what I'm supposed to be as a husband when I grow up. And so we have to be the models, the role models. We're the first teachers.
We are.
And it's really important that we are giving these and modeling it for our children. You don't want to stay in relationships where your child is learning bad behaviors, because all you're doing is taking it into the next generation.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility to break the cycle in any generation where we're teaching the next one how to love themselves, how to have good self-esteem. Really, really important.
I'm not sure what's in the next slide, but I was going to say, tell us how to have the conversation. I have a 10-year-old nephew, for example. I think he's just out of the I hate girls phase, because they do have that, like,
oh
you
boy, do they have that.
girls, who plays with them?
Yeah.
And, how do you talk to them about the potential feelings they may have in liking or wanting to spend more time with someone?
Well, the thing is, we've been telling parents for the longest time now, start telling your child, teach your child the proper names for body parts, so that if anyone touches them, they know when they come and they talk to their parents, they can say, so-and-so touched me in this part of my body. And they can say the proper names, because if you go to court, you need to have proper names of things, right? Plus you're teaching your child, again, self-confidence.
Yeah.
You're teaching them self-esteem. Those are the things we're teaching them when we are helping them to identify and protect themselves.
Yeah.
All right. So I put here, teach and model your values, right? If your values are church, you take your child to church. Don't send them to church, right? We have parents who will wake the children up on Sundays and send them, but they won't go to church along with
So
them.
they're not showing, they're not modeling.
So what I think as one child,
You only go as a child?
yeah, you send me to church, but you stay home. So when I get older, I could do the same thing. Those are the messages. They're very subtle messages, but they're messages that the children are taking in, right? If you have values about work, you don't want to be a workaholic, because you're teaching the child, well, I don't have time for family. It's only about money. Be very careful about the messages that you're modeling for children.
This is an interesting one. Help them to make friends with both sexes.
It's very important that they make, they have friends on both sexes.
yeah.
Yes. And I'll tell you what too, we've talked about this. You want to know who your children's friends are from early, because a lot of times these friends are their friends for life. So you want to make sure that you are guiding them to nice people, and that you have nice friends, that you take them around their children.
I also see this as a starting point for a problem that happens later on in life, where a lot of times people can't wrap their minds around men and women, adults, being friends in a non-sexual way.
Exactly.
And I would imagine it's perhaps because they didn't interact with friends of opposite sexes.
But parents are so jumpy about having little girls be friends with little boys. And I mean, there's a period where girls will hang just girls, and boys will just be boys and want nothing to do with the opposite sex. But at some point, they will be interested. They have to learn. And so it's important to start very early, so that it's not strange to them, or it's not something sexual. Okay.
And I wanted to, and this might shake things up a little, because, growing up from primary or from kindergarten all the way to standard 6, and then you learn some values there, because you're then with both sexes. And then when you hit high school, you've got 4 years of high school. You've got all girls school and you've got all guys school. What does this do for, and I'm saying this because this is the age when the dating thing starts. What does this do for their mind as a young lady in an all young ladies school, all ladies school, and a young man in an all boys school?
You know what? We're not competing for the boys' attention. When you're in an all-girls school, you are competing with other girls for learning. You're competing to get better grades.
You're more
It's
comfortable.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
comfortable, right? There's time for boys after high school.
Yeah.
There's always time for boys.
And on the weekends.
Yeah.
To hang
Yeah.
out with your friends and
Exactly.
sing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am an advocate for all girls or
girls or
all
all
girls.
boys.
Yes, I came from one. I'm a product of one, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we had fun. We
Yeah.
did. People,
And the bonds are
the
so
bonding.
strong.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, yes.
Yeah.
Those are lifelong bonds that you make, right?
But I'm biased. I also went to an all-girls school. So, but I mean, there were simple things like, you know, you don't worry about appearance. You don't worry about anything that would be typical of that
Distractions.
time.
Yes.
And it
the
was just
distractions
about.
are just not there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What is
Oh,
dating?
oh no.
go back.
Go
We
back.
need that very important one. When they tell you about their first crush,
Go back. Is it this?
Be-
Yeah.
That's it right there.
That's it.
positive.
Listen, little girls and boys get crushes. Sometimes it's on the television, it's a movie star. Sometimes the crush might be a teacher. You know? I mean, you have crushes on
And
trees.
crushes are normal.
They're normal. They're absolutely normal. But you go home and you tell, you know, you say to your parent,
parent.
"Ooh, I met so and so, and he's so cute."
The shock
My
of the mind, Jenny.
heart. You know, ooh, and little girls are so there's their first, and then parents make fun of them.
Well, I was gonna ask that. I mean, does positive also include making fun? Because I'm guilty of that. And it isn't that they say that they like them, but because we're adults, we can tell. It's like they talk about Jenny all the time. You know what Jenny did today, and Jenny did this, and Jenny's coming to this, and Jenny's going to the party. So
And the name, you know,
And
yeah.
so naturally, I'll say, so, you know, did you talk to Jenny today? Oh, Jenny's your girlfriend, isn't
But you're not
she?
making fun of. You're not teasing.
Okay.
What you're doing is you're
Okay.
cajoling with the child, but you're not making fun of the
Because that's
child.
the fun part of being an adult around
Oh.
kids.
Look, I'm listening to it, and being that I'm a parent myself, for a lot of us, it's hard to take control of it in the mind, because we would have a negative reaction to know that my daughter or my son is saying, I have a crush, because the first thing that jumps out is the fact that there could be that probably that sexual connection, because
John,
it's there.
It's totally normal.
And this is the reason why we're having the conversation. But I'm just saying, from a parental standpoint, having a teenager, that it's a scary thought. It could be.
But we're
So-
talking before teenage years.
Right.
You
Okay.
probably hear first crush. But okay, so we know the advice is to be positive. But what happens if we're negative? What happens if you talk about a girl too much? And I want to hear
yes.
no girl out
What
of
happens
school.
there? Yes.
Which is true.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. But
Because I probably told you that as a kid.
the thing is that at 10 years old, sometimes you have your first crush around 9,
Yeah.
10, and you come in. Haven't you heard your little daughters come in and go, "Ooh, teacher did this today, and teacher did that," and teacher's a man, right? And
No, Jenny.
Well,
I haven't heard it.
you will.
maybe she tells mom. Maybe she's more comfortable
Yeah,
with mom.
yeah.
Yeah. But what happens if you're negative?
If you're negative,
What does it
though,
do? Yeah, for them.
it really messes up this child, because now you've made it something bad.
Liking
Maybe
someone is something bad.
something bad. And there's nothing wrong with the child isn't it's not a sexual attraction, it's a crush. It just means that this person is just like the center of my world at this point, It's nothing.
But it's scary for parents.
It is.
Okay,
Why?
if I'm a parent, I think to myself, I don't want them to, because we've seen it when we grow up. Some kids get involved very young, very serious, and
Right.
totally
We've seen
distracted
those.
from the important things in life at that age, which is school. How do you know that you're being supportive enough to allow them to have healthy relationships in the future, but not also enabling a situation
Right.
where you have one of those we call them fasts in Belize, right?
Right. We've seen several incidences of teachers who prey on these children,
Yeah.
who have crushes or who just adore their teacher, right? And those people we have to be careful of. But the thing is, we keep on, we talked about this before. We have to teach the children. We're talking to the children. You don't want to tell the child about puberty when they're going through puberty. You want to be talking to them before that. You know, in a few years, in a couple of years, next year, your body's going to be changing. You're going to have feelings. These are the dangers, these are the good parts of it. And you sit and have that conversation. I've talked to parents, and I was talking to one parent recently, a couple of days ago, and I said, have you had the talk with your daughter yet? Mom's dead. He says, no, I'm too ashamed to talk to her about that. I said, well, you have to talk to her though. You are the parent, you don't want her to get that information from the streets or from her friends. That's information that needs to come from you as the parent. And since you're a male, give her the male perspective, but have the conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm really a big advocate of parents having the conversation with children and having the conversation early.
And you know what, and let me add to that is, if that child should get that information from the streets will tend to give you the negative side of it that you would feel is the best part of it. And so it has to start with the parents telling that child, these are the things that you'll be witnessing as you grow on, and you have to accept it because it's life.
Your body will be changing. You're going to have these feelings. You do not need to act on these feelings. There's lots of time later on in the future after high school. You'll meet people, and you want to be encouraging your child. No, you want to be having the conversation. Remember we talked about the dictatorial parent last week?
Yes.
Or last time I was here?
2 weeks ago.
Yes. And we talked about the whole thing about negotiating and teaching your child. Negotiating with the child and teaching. We teach and we discipline, we don't punish. We don't degrade. Or we ought not, that we really should be working towards negotiating.
Yeah.
All right, very, very important.
Right.
Where
So
are
I
we?
see why you told me to wait for the PowerPoint. So here you have dating defined.
Yes.
But this isn't Belizean dating.
No. Like I said, we're coming to it.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, dating means you're going out on dates.
Okay.
So, like, this is not dating in
Adult.
jumping into the adult stuff. This is, I'm going to the ice cream shop with friends.
That's a date.
Yeah.
Movies.
And I'm telling you, I really advocate if your children are going to be going out on a date, go as a group. Group dating. Go to the ice cream shop as a bunch. And that's what our little guy was telling me. He says, oh, we go to the ice cream shop and the girls are sitting there. We just sit together, but we're talking as a group together. It's just that we like being together.
Yeah.
That's dating.
That's dating.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, now, actively meeting different people and spending time with them.
Yeah.
So you're not locked into any one person. You're meeting different people, and it's a good practice to see how different people react and how they think and things like that. It's very healthy. But you, again, start early talking to your children so they don't get into these behaviors that will get them into trouble. Dating someone, if you say I'm dating someone, it means that you're seeing a specific person. All right? And that might be the person now that you're beginning to think you want to have a long-term relationship with. This is the person who maybe eventually may marry. But it's very nebulous because at that age, they are very, they meet different people. It's not going to be that first, second, third person that they meet. Right?
Yes, you're right.
And so?
The groups today, in this day and age, they don't do dating in the traditional sense like we used to, right? You'd go out together, go to a matinee. I remember matinees.
There are movies now. People can go to Princess Film movies.
Yeah. Or you go to Princess and go to the game room together and do that kind of thing, right? They go out as groups, multi-couples. So there's a bunch of them, they'll all go out together and they'll go have fun together. We were always taught, if you go out, you go out with a group of girls, right? And you make sure you leave with that group of girls, even as grown-ups.
We come out together, we leave, we go in together.
In the military, we always went out as a group and we came home as a group. We never left one behind, right? No matter what. You have clear codes of conduct. You do not leave the area where we are. You go to the bathroom, we go as a bunch of girls. Men never understood why we all go to the bathroom together.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's safety in numbers, right? And you set the codes of conduct. As a parent, you can sit with your daughter, and then she can sit with her
And son.
friends. And son, I don't want to forget the son.
And
Yes,
son.
don't forget the son.
Don't want to forget the sons.
Yeah.
You want to teach them codes of conduct, and you adhere to those, right? Because respect is such a big part of this. And we have to teach our girls to demand respect and teach our boys to show respect,
Absolutely.
okay? Freedom to hold off from going all the way. You do know what that means. I don't want to say it on television.
Yeah.
But it's that's very, very important that girls can say no and boys should not be asking, right?
But it's not even going all the way in today's society. In this day and age, the practice of sending nudes to your boyfriend or girlfriend
the sexting, we
is
need to talk about the
really,
sexting.
really prominent.
Yeah.
And it's not involving actual sex, but it is really exposing yourself. Maybe you're not going to get STDs or pregnant, but you could have your images
Forever.
floated anywhere
Forever.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah, forever.
As long as it's being placed on the internet.
Well, it's not
the rest of your
necessarily the internet. It's just you're putting it into somebody else's hands.
And they share it with their friends who share it
Yeah.
with their friends.
It's like an absolute trust that I don't know if children have that capacity to have as yet.
And those are things that parents need to sit with their children and explain to them.
Yeah.
That you have to be so careful about what you're putting out there on the internet. And you may love this guy today or think that you're so much in love with him. There's such a thing called revenge porn. And when you no longer want to be with that person because you're attracted to somebody else now, they're going to use that against you.
So maybe they hold it private while we still like each other, but after, which there can always be an end.
Most likely,
Yeah.
they're most
Especially at
likely.
that
likely,
age.
yes.
Most likely there will be an end at that age. What will happen after?
It's so important. This is one of the things that parents really have to sit with their children and talk to them about. And while it's awful for a man, it's overwhelming for a little girl
Little girl, yes.
for this to happen to them. And I'll tell you, you never know what's going to prompt a little girl to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things are happening every day.
It's happening, yes, it is happening.
Wow.
Right now, I recommend that if some little girl does that if you know who the boy is, you go to him and you tell him, if you pass this on to anybody else, that's porn. That's pornography, and the laws will get you.
Maybe that means that we should encourage parents of boys to also have that conversation, that it is illegal to pass it on.
It's illegal. Don't even ask the little girls to do this, to send
Yeah.
anything
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
You really want to talk to your children, okay? Parents,
Yeah.
not just mom, dad too, or an uncle, but you
Uncle,
really need to be
aunt.
talking to our boys.
Everybody needs to. We
have
need
to
to have a
talk to our
conversation.
boys.
It's very important.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I ask one question we haven't covered, which I thought would be a part of it? How do you know when they're ready to date? What's the appropriate age? Some kids may want to have a steady girlfriend at 14, steady girlfriend or boyfriend at 14, which is first form. It could be earlier, it could be later, it could be. How do you help a parent define those rules?
Personally,
Let's hear this.
I want them to focus on high school.
Yeah.
And you cannot focus on high school and be in a committed relationship
At the age of 14.
at 14 or
First
first form, second form. You really need to finish high school. You want to go to a group, or you all want to go have fun, go to the ice cream shop, go to Princess, play games. That's fine. Yes, I understand your crush and whatnot, but you need to focus on school.
Yeah.
Get done, have good grades, get your scholarships.
Yeah.
And really send that message, but don't start when they start high school. You
But
can't wait.
It'll happen behind your back if you say
True.
no.
It will happen behind your back.
Yeah.
And again, so this is the whole negotiating thing.
Okay.
Where we start, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to talk to your children
Yeah.
before they go into adolescence. Because when they go into adolescence, guess what? You don't matter anymore, as a parent. before that,
You're
they-
low on the priority list of opinions.
way down there. They're learning a lot of things from their peers. And so whether we like it or not, the peers have become the most important people, which is why it's important to know very early who their friends are and be guiding them to friends that are positive and they come from positive families.
So what happens if, I missed this lesson. This is a bit late for me. I have a first former. Well, she's ending off the year now and going into second form soon. But she's perhaps been, they don't talk, they Snapchat all day. They're Snapchatting with one boy every day. Obviously, I suspect that's her boyfriend. I am hoping she's not doing the nudes part, but I don't want her to be in a committed relationship yet. I have no influence to stop it. I mean, they're not seeing each other. They just have mobile devices.
That's scary in this day and age.
How do I stop it so I don't want her to get so wrapped up in a boy at second form at 15 years old and lose focus?
And see, I don't want to tell a parent take the phone away.
But what can you do? What can you tell her? Is there anything you can do at that point?
Again, you have to have been having the conversation on the importance of school, the importance of self-respect, the importance of loving yourself first.
Yeah.
That conversation had to have started. And now you come back and you reiterate, point out. What I like to do, I like to get a sheet of paper and have them put on that sheet of paper what their goals are. And then what are the things that will hold you away from getting to that goal, and what are the things that are going to positively help you to get to your goal. I like them to put things on paper so they can see. We're visual people. Use pros and cons. Okay? I really believe that 14, 13 is too young for children, because they're children, to be making the decisions about having single boyfriend.
Is
like
it too
that.
young for them to have a telephone at this point?
Ooh, I mean, not tell no parent that.
That's a whole different conversation. But can I ask one more thing on that topic just before we move off? What is the danger of becoming anti the boyfriend? Because I find that to be a really,
Yeah.
I just have to be real, and I know parents don't want to hear it. The 14-year-old, and you said it before, parents are low on the influence rank. And I remember in high school, the stricter the parent,
The
more rebellious
Yeah.
the child.
Yeah.
Parents would say you can't talk to a boy. You can't use, that was house phone then. No boys called the house phone. You don't leave your house. And those were the friends that I had who took more risks than the rest of us.
Yeah.
So what do I do if she's already, I may be late, I admit that. I hesitated in having the conversation, but obviously it seems that she has a boyfriend. I don't want her to, but if I tell her, no, you're not allowed to talk to David anymore. No more messages, no more, what am I doing?
The mere fact you tell me I can't, you make that more attractive.
That's the challenge.
You make that so much more attractive for me. Because why don't you want me to? Why can't I? And then you put things, you take the phone away from me. What do you think I'm going to do?
Sneak out.
I'm going to sneak out and go see. I'm going to go be with. So what you're doing pretty much is that you're being the dictatorial parent, and you're pushing your child further away from you. And what you want is to bring that child in. So you have to talk to the child again about the importance of self-respect, self-esteem. You have to be helping her to build her self-esteem so she is more important than that boy.
But let me ask you this, Jenny.
Yes.
We talk about the examples or the model from they were very young up until. But you're still the dictatorial parent. You're still telling them what to do and what not to do. And because they're talking to somebody, you're saying, you can't talk to David. But it becomes much more, it becomes what she wants. But
You're making it more
does the
attractive.
model have anything to do with that? Is she seeing something from the parents why she wants to continue, even though you're dictating that she should not?
It's the dictating that causes the problem.
Not the model.
I don't know so much if it's the model. I don't.
It would be natural for a
individual.
teenager, wouldn't it?
What's
To
that?
kind of go the opposite direction
From the parent,
their
yes.
instinctual behavior.
Yes, yes. The thing is, John, is that as our children are growing, we're not their friends. We don't ever want to we don't want to be their friends. We're the parent. All right. But what I want to do is I want to always be guiding. I want to be guiding. I want to be teaching. I want to make sure that I am showing this child, modeling for this child, right? From very early, I'll tell you, Alberto, I had Alberto bring all his little friends to the house. I wanted to see who they were. And I went to visit his his friends. I go visit their homes because I want to see what's going on over there, right? It was really important to me. There were some of the kids that he wanted to be friends with. And I said, you know, Alberto, have you noticed how so and so does this? And have you noticed that? And I don't tell him I don't want you being with that kid because then he's going to be pushed over there. He's going to go against that because why, mommy, don't want I be friends with so and so, right? That didn't work. I tried that with one of them.
So you point out the negatives for them. You point out so they could see.
I ask questions. I don't.
You don't point
You
out.
don't say he or she is bad.
Right. I ask questions. And you know, that kid, do you think that kid smokes weed? And you notice how his eyes are always red? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Right? And I ask questions and then he's like, I give him things to think about.
Yeah.
Right? And you always want to ask questions so it doesn't seem like you're dictating. When you dictate, you're really putting a chasm in there.
Yeah.
And they will go against you. Think about yourself. You know, the more they tell me I can't do something, the more I want to prove that I can do it. And that's kids. That's what we are. That's what we do. At that
That's actually
age.
one of the things they say in dieting. Don't tell yourself you can't have something because then you want it
Then you
more.
want to have it more.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's complete the slides for
Yeah. Okay. A girlfriend or boyfriend should first and foremost be a friend. That's why it's called boyfriend, girlfriend. They should be a friend. They should treat you in the way a friend would treat you. Think about that. No arguing, no jealousy, none of the drama. Friends don't do that. If they're doing that, then you need to really be reconsidering if these are real friends.
You'll say it's natural to be jealous.
What?
There you go. That's why I caught your attention. Some folks might tell you it's just natural for me to be jealous.
He's being devil's advocate. That's what he's being. Yes. Just before people pounce on you.
Have common interests and
No.
rules.
No. I appreciate. I think it's good that you say it. There are people who feel that way.
The conversation is out there and you'll hear it. And this is the forum where we discuss it.
Yeah.
It's natural for me to be jealous.
As a friend,
Can you just say that that's not your personal opinion because it sounds just scary coming
No,
out?
I'm sorry. We're having a discussion, you know. So,
But
it's
some
just
people
out there.
do feel that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jealousy is insecurity. Being jealous is insecurity. And you really do not want to be teaching your child to be insecure. Right? So you talk to them. If you have a friend who's jealous of you, what is it that person feels insecure about? And if it's a continued thing, then you may need to really consider that this is not a good friend. All right? And again, it's really important to sit and talk with your child. You need to know what your child is thinking, believing, and you can only do that if you're talking to them.
Yeah.
How can parents come in from work and not sit down and talk to teenagers? It's critical you're talking to teenagers.
But they don't want to talk.
But you don't question. You never question. You never question. Right? You have a conversation. You talk about what you're doing, and you say, "What about you?" So I'm giving some. What about you? Right? You engage. Seriously, you have to engage. You ask a teenager. You go in and you say, "So, how was your day today? Who you talked to today? What?"
Fine.
Nobody, ma. Nobody.
Yes.
Talk to nobody.
Or so what about Monica? What's happening with Monica? Mom.
Yeah.
And that's it. They go to their room and you shut out.
Yeah.
So you really and truly have to learn to ask open-ended questions. You need to really learn how to engage teenagers. Okay? Have common goals and interests. When you have a friend and you have common goals, common interests, eventually when you have a boyfriend, you're going to be looking for these things. All right? You'll be looking for those things. those are the healthy ways of having a relationship, right? Is to look at how this person is as a friend. Or really and truly, you don't get married to a stranger. You try to get married to people who are your friends, people who have the same ideas, interests, values.
Values,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Is there any more? 'Cause
I think that's it. That's a whole lot
great
for parents
conversation,
to
though.
swallow. Do we also talk about how to help your child through heartbreak? Because it does happen.
It does happen.
Oh,
That's another.
If the boy doesn't like them, if the girl has a new boyfriend.
yes.
And
and
some
the
people
crying.
never recover from these things.
Well, they recover if they're able to talk
Yeah.
with especially with a parent who isn't going to laugh at them or say, "I
Or be
told you so,"
dismissive.
or "Please, you'll get over this. You'll meet somebody else." The thing is to seriously sit with the child and let them go through their grief, and if possible, just be supportive. Be supportive and say, "Okay, darling, I understand. I know this hurts. Just be supportive."
What
'Cause they
about
will go
not
through it.
downplaying the other person? She's stupid. She this,
Oh, yeah,
she
you don't
that.
wanna do that.
He's whatever.
So you're saying that I couldn't make good choices, Mama? Okay, so you really you don't want to do that. You simply want to be supportive
Yes.
and support her through that period. Grief lasts for a little bit. There'll be somebody else who will interest her.
Eventually.
But you want to be supportive through that process.
Okay.
Okay. The big thing though is you really and truly want to respect your child, show respect and teach them respect. You model for them the things that you want to see them doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. We really hope those parents with preteens appreciate the conversation, and those of you with teens probably already in this realm, you've learned a few things as well. Thank you so much, Denny. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be meeting a Belizean poet. So stay tuned.
These are the people who I want to appeal to.
Make those little slips. It happens.
You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively.
How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Just jump right back on.